I can sniff out when a guy is just trying to, you know what I
Right.
mean? Super
Right.
quick. Or if he's actually looking for something serious, when a guy sends heart eyes at you with your niece or nephew versus, you out and taking a hot pic and then they send the fire emoji. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're like people also that live in this world of delusion that like this girl who is looking for something serious is going to be like, yeah, to the fire emoji. No, I'm replying to the heart eye guy. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Based on what you told me, like dinner, drinks, out of town, fire emoji. This is actually like a mathematical equation to me because it's like he's sitting there knowing what I know I have to do more. I know that I have, written a check. The check I've written is nice dinner, nice drinks. Where am I going to go from here? Because there's
Mm-hmm.
only one place to go, and that's forward. Woody Allen famously said, relationships are like sharks. They either keep swimming or they die. Hello and welcome to the JTRAIN podcast. It's JTRAIN Jared Freid coming to you live from the West Village of Manhattan. It is a Chit Chat Wednesday. We love a chit chat every Wednesday. I have a guest on, a friend to chit chat today. We are very lucky, a very special guest, host of the new podcast, Gems with Natasha, and a former Bachelor contestant, Bachelor in Paradise contestant, Natasha Parker. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jared. And thank you for coming on my podcast.
I was a guest, and I always say this when people listen to this show. Sometimes you need, a little appetizer for someone's show, something you recognize, a little bit of something you know. So if you go and you want to go check out a new podcast, Natasha has a fantastic podcast, Gems with Natasha. I am a guest on there, so you can go listen. Go right now. Stop this. Go listen, subscribe. How are you? What's going on? We're doing this on a Sunday
I'm
morning.
good.
I always like to tell people when we're doing this. What did you do this weekend? I think that's a fun
Well,
question.
well, my dad came to visit. He was here from Thursday to Saturday. He left last night, and then my sister came on Friday. So I had an event to go to. My sister came with me, and she's still here. We're going to go to brunch after. And
Where
I
will you
mean,
go
I
to
got
brunch?
well, we have two options. We
Mm-hmm.
might go to the Ned, which they just started their like feast, which is a spread. Like, have you ever
So
been to
what's
the
the
Soho
Ned?
House feast?
What? Okay, so the
Oh, the
Soho House and the Ned, these are all like club membership type of deals, right?
hotel slash membership. Yeah, exactly.
Are you a member at the Ned?
By default, yes. I
By
have a friend.
default.
By default, I have a good friend who works there, and so and I have so many friends that go there. So when I want to go there, I'll hit my friend up if he's working. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, come through. It's great, whatever." But if he's not working, I don't ever really want to go.
So you're gonna go with your sister, and they have the feast, which is like their big
Yes,
Sunday
yes,
brunch.
yes.
Get after it meal where you walk in. Soho House has this here. It has this as well. You go into
Correct.
Soho House, and I remember I brought my dad and mom to the Nashville one, their feast, and they couldn't believe it. It's not
Hmm.
like they've never been to a brunch before. They've gone on cruises. They've seen ridiculous brunches. Like
Yes.
my dad's eyes popped out of his head, and I think all it takes for my dad to really love a buffet is for any shellfish to be available. He needs to see if you
Hmm.
got like lobster, like he is fully impressed. Doesn't matter what. There could be a guy taking a shit in the corner, and he'd be like, "They've got lobster. This is amazing. We're getting because that's kind of, I guess, it's bang for your buck, so to speak.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Because normally you buy a lobster and it's going to be so much money, and then it's like, wait, I can get as much lobster as I want. Although you don't eat
Right.
only lobster, but you can get as much as you want because it's just out there, the lobster, the shrimp, the crab legs, the everything. Yeah.
So
Great.
just the option of being able to have it. What is the other option for brunch? What do we just? What's the other?
Going to Rocco's and doing the football situation
So
with the
you're
brunch.
like, so Natasha, like you're naming places. For the people listening, they might be listening in, you know, bumfuck Iowa. When I hear Rocco's and the Ned, you're living like a high-end New York City girly lifestyle. You are not living, roommate, this is like the dream Carrie Bradshaw situation. Like you are living something that, I would say young women who are like, I'm moving to New York. They're looking at your life. Do you ever think about that? Like I think about that. I see that kind of brand of woman walking around the West Village, and I'm like, man, they're doing all the things. Like it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like do you ever think about that? Like
Carrie.
You're doing Carrie Bradshaw, like Rocco's. Yeah. I was just talking about this place the other day. I've never been, but I know it's a young sports bar for young people to be hot around one another and not really watch sports.
Well, that's not true.
Okay.
So a friend of mine owns it.
Okay.
So you can go whenever you want. Just let me know. I will put it together for you for sure.
I heard it's busy. I heard it's very busy. And my ideal sports situation is me next to like a bar fly, like an ugly old man who's like, "Go Giants!" Like that's my ideal sports. Not like, like that kind of what I imagined. So I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So basically, Rocco. So the owner is he just celebrated his 40th birthday. So he is 40, and there are people who are your age that go. For sure.
There's old people like me.
There are older men that go to Rocco's as well, depending on the game, of course, and everything like that.
Sure.
Now, obviously, on a Saturday, there's college. There's a lot of college people. It's right in the area of NYU and everything like that. So, obviously, there's people who are going and they are doing all the things, and young people go there because it's in that area. But there are older people that go. Now, I will say, I don't know. I mean, you tell me, is this like a thing? I feel like the older a man gets, though, the more important the sports get. So, yeah, they do want to be at home watching their team. They do want to be at home with the audio on. You know what I mean?
I guess what I would think is the older I get, the less I want to talk to randos. So... So the older I get, the more I want to go, the game's on. Let me just zone in on this and let that be, taking up the space, and I don't need to like really try. Like I've done the 20-year-old, what brought you guys here? What's going on? Who's in the group? What's happening? And like a Sunday, I just want to be like eyelids at half mast. Like not dealing with, I don't know, like, so Rocco's, to me, it sounds like a place to meet, see, and be seen, like meet people. Like it feels like
it depends on the day. That is.
And where's your sister coming from?
She lives in Chicago. So we're all from Chicago originally.
Right.
My parents moved to Michigan, and then, I'm here, but she still lives in Chicago. So I just, it's a fun place though. And like, you can't go there and not have fun. There's games on every single TV and everything. We'll have to go. You'll have to go.
It sounds fun. This isn't me saying it's not a fun place. This is me saying it's a specific situation you're walking into.
That is true.
I don't
think you want to go for that.
Right. Okay, so that's a good point. This is the thing. When people give recommendations, when you're bringing someone somewhere, your sister, you're like, we're going to Rocco's to hang with people and have football on in the background. Like, my mom, my whole life, she'd be like, you're sensitive. I'm like, I'm not sensitive. I just notice. So, like, when I talk about somewhere, when I go, Rocco's is a place where you're going to meet, you'd be rubbing up against a hot woman. That's a good reason to go out, as well as sitting next to the old man who cares about the Giants. Like, there's both. Right. Both are good situations. It's just I want to make sure someone's walking into the right one. If I'm you and your sister, I'm going to Rocco's, to tell you the truth.
Really?
I think the Ned. Is sister single?
My sister is single, but newly single actually. So she's ready to have some fun. But I think that The food also, I have to say, at Rocco's is
Yeah.
delicious. I am pescatarian. I love nachos. I They have like a vegan nacho situation and they have amazing pancakes. So I'm like so they have great food too. It's not like the food is not good at Rocco's. It's delicious. And it's like bar food, but also you can get
Hmm.
pancakes. Ugh.
Hold on.
Yum.
Before we move on, I need to get to our sponsored. We are sponsored by Rocco's Tavern. No, I'm kidding. Uh, Now you said your sister's single.
Yeah.
You're single as well, Natasha.
Yes, yes,
Now you and your sister go out to Rocco's.
yes.
Do you and your sister? I like the way I think women wing woman better than men.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
like there's like now is you said your sister's recently single. Is there a
Hmm.
plan with men? Are you guys going out with a plan like or is it like unsaid? Is there do you see a guy that you're like I know that's her taste and she knows that's my taste? Is it nothing said? We're just two girls having a good time. We're not even thinking of guys. What's kind of the situation with two single sisters going out?
Well, that's interesting. I don't think, and I can only speak for myself. I can't
Of
speak for
course.
everyone.
But
But
you're Carrie Bradshaw. You're
yeah, and I think that Carrie carries a certain light about her that like she's never looking. If it happens, and she'll
right.
entertain it. And I feel like that's always my vibe when I go out. I'm not looking per se, and I think that even that energy attracts a certain type of guy, right? Whereas
Hmm.
even when you go out, and I'm sure you've been out and you've seen the girls that are looking and they're looking and they're looking and
Hmm.
they're looking and they're doing all the things, and
On the
that also
prowl.
attracts, yeah, they're on the prowl, and that also attracts a certain type of guy. So I like bold men. I like men who come up to me. I like
Hmm.
men who are like, hey, you need another drink? How are you? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. I like that. So if I'm
If a
looking,
guy went up to
yeah, but if
guy,
I'm looking, then
hey, have another drink. You're into
yeah,
that? That's it. Okay.
yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, it's more
Within
so,
reason.
yeah, well, it's more so when the guy's just like, oh, do you need another drink? And I'm
Right.
like, actually, I
Now
do.
that you
You know what
mention
I
it,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so there
Takes
are
full
things.
drink, throws it over shoulder. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and it well also just like being observant. There are certain times when you're at a bar and you literally just got a drink, and then the guy decides to swoop over because he knows he doesn't have
Mhm.
to pay for it because he just saw that you
Oh
just paid for it,
wow.
right?
That's
oh
a
yeah. And they're
move.
like, hey, and you're like, hello, you know what I mean? And you've checked him checking you for like however
Right.
long,
He
now you
just
come
got a
over,
free entrance into the conversation. Yeah,
yeah,
that's bullshit.
yeah, and I'm like, I know what you're doing, but I'll still talk, whatever, it is what it is. But so
Bold
we
in
don't
its own
have a
way.
Exactly, right. And bold and safe. But we don't have a plan. It's just like if we go out and there it just so happens to be a hot guy, because our focus is always to go out and enjoy ourselves, right?
Hmm.
So if we go out and again, if let's just say a place we were going just was the football and the food wasn't good, that's not somewhere I would take my sister. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like,
Hmm.
because
No, you're
what
looking
are the
for a full
chances?
experience. You're looking to
Exactly.
and that's a good point. If you're going to a place like where are the men? Like I think
Yeah.
that's always a bad question because like I get asked that a lot. Like where are the 30-year-old men is what I get asked a lot. Like where do we find these
Mm.
guys? And I'm like to be honest, I'm like I don't even, I'm 39 male single New York and I'm like where do I go? What am I doing? Like I actually like I'm
Do you go to
never
dinner?
no, men don't go to dinner together. Like that's if you walk around the West Village, every table is women having dinner with friends, other female friends. Just when you look around,
But
you're like,
on
where
the
do these
West
guys
Village,
go?
do you ever go to the East Side?
I was on the East Side the other
You're like
night.
never. Yeah, yeah.
Every
But
now and
did you?
again, I leave my neighborhood. I went to the Dime Square area the other night, which I had never seen before, and that's a
And did
wild
you
scene.
see? Did you see dude? It was like I feel like on the East Side it's more duty
Um,
than on the West Side. If
there's a
that makes
lot more
sense.
human feces on the east side. Yes. No, I, I, I,
Okay.
I see. To me, it's younger, but the whole city
Mm,
feels younger. But maybe I'm
mm,
old and I'm just seeing it through older eyes. But I'm like,
hmm
I went to
hmm
the Dime Square area, and this is again for the New York City. People who aren't living in the city. This is like kind of like a newish area that's been like an outdoor kind of bar scene that's kind of erupted since the pandemic. And I look around and I just see like trash pail kids. They're all like people, like all the young people dress like they went to the attic and took all their dad's old clothes and like put them all on at once. And it just looks like they're all just like young and dressed ridiculously. And I'm like, I don't know. I just, maybe it's the age factor. So I do see guys, but I'm like, you know,
are girls into these guys is what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. I like when I get asked about like men in their 30s, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know. You know, I think when the pandemic happened, I have this theory that like the people that like, you know, used to be that people would say a lot when they lived in New York. They'd be like, we're going to get married. We're going to have kids. And as soon as the kids are too big for the apartment, then we'll move. And then the pandemic happened and it turned into we're out of here. So like all the people in this one age range, they were all like, I'm out. And so like I would go out with my married friends. Like I'd much prefer, like yesterday for the football games, I went out with my married friends and we went to Blue Haven, which is kind of a punchline and kind of like a little bit of a packed place, but it did seem older. It did seem like there were people there that were like aroundish 30s.
That's the place that like they have the outside TVs too, right?
Yes.
I go there a lot
a couple
with
locations.
My friends. Oh, which one did you go to?
I went on the Houston with the outdoor TVs. I know.
Yes, I've been there before.
Yeah, and like I guess sports is like a good place to like find men in the wild, but like I do like the perspective of like you're like, okay, I'm going to the place that has what I want. And the rest shall come. So like if you go, hey, it's football Sunday, but they got to have good food and they got to have fun music and maybe not be game centric. Okay, we're going to Rocco's. Like like sometimes we do the math wrong. And I know this from single people. Like their pursuits are wrong. If your pursuit is the time, the rest shall come. The duties shall flock. You know, I don't know. I like your perspective on this. Is kind of what I'm saying.
I want to know your perspective on this. I think people are attracted to like vibes, right? So if I am a girl that don't give a shit about football, right? But I do like good food. But I don't give a shit about football. I also care about hanging out with my friends. So a lot of my guy friends go to Blue Haven and they'll watch the game outside. It's outside. Like how many places can you go and watch a game outside, right? That's kind of cool. So if I'm catching up with my guy friends, I'll also go to this place. I don't love like, you know, it's just bar food and things like that. I'll order a bagel at the place next door and then bring it over and eat it, whatever, you know what I mean? But I'm not necessarily going there for the food, but I'm going there for the hangs, right? But I am comfortable. And like as a woman, for me, I'm always looking when I am out in the wild. I'm comfortable in my home. I'm safe in my home. I'm looking for comfort and I'm looking for safety. So if I'm in a place, I don't like football. And I do like football, but just giving a scenario here. I don't like football. I came to see the boys, or, you know, I don't like the food. I don't like anything. It's like, that energy of that woman is going to be in this place, like, you know, doing the looking, on the prowl, maybe upset, maybe not happy, maybe her friend found someone she didn't, she's pissed, whatever, you know, you can feel that energy. Whereas when you're like me and I go somewhere because I want to go for the food, and when I get these nachos, I'm going to be so excited. It's like, my energy is like, she's happy, she's content, she's good. I'm going to go talk to her.
Approachable. You know what I mean? Absolutely
approachable.
Agree. Absolutely agree. I think.
Who wants to approach that girl?
Right. It's right. Well, it's expectations versus reality. Like, you know, it's the undersell, over deliver. The undersell is the time you want to have. The over deliver is the people you meet when you're having the time you already want to have. Like and this is hard to like impart to people because I am the person who can be negative. Like I understand that person. Like I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to go and do too much. I want to be next to the old man in the bar that's empty. So like I understand that. It is interesting to me because I did this TikTok a while back, and because I got a friend that was like, you know, it was like the advice basically on the TikTok was like, Stop asking someone what they're doing this weekend and start telling someone what you're doing this weekend. And it's like, if you change that one thing and you go, well, I'm not doing anything this weekend. It's like, okay, who the fuck would want to hang out with you? You know, if like, and again, like, that's okay.
Wait, as a man or as a woman or either?
Anybody, single. Because here's the thing, what you just said kind of it goes to my point where you're like, if I'm with the people I like and at the place I want to be, with the pancakes I want to eat, and then let's say you're texting with someone you met on Hinge, okay? And this is like, if I'm the guy that you're texting with and you're like, I'm going to be at Rocco's, I got like 3 friends, coming, they have the best pancakes, you're more than welcome, pull up with some friends or on your own. Now, that is actually the best date you could ever be on. Because let's say that person who you're texting with from Hinge, who you've already gotten drinks with, and you're kind of in the second, third date, place with, you go, now you're getting them to like, kind of like show up to your turf, be around your friends. Your friends can be like, who's that guy? Wow, he came on his own. He was cool. He was fun. He fit right in. That is like, and like now you two are getting to know each other on a different level, because I do think it's boring to be like, well, I have nothing going on. Ahem, ask me to drinks, ahem. That's kind of what you're doing.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Think, yes, key though, you said second or third situation.
Right.
I would never do that. Like, if I'm just randomly texting a guy on Hinge or something and like we haven't met yet, I would never do that.
This is like fourth dateville. I think.
Yes.
This came
100%.
Because this came up because someone was like, they're not asking me on a date. And I'm like, well, we've gone out twice. They haven't asked me on a date. And I'm like, well, this is kind of one of those moments where you go, I'm a fun party. You can come to my party and enjoy what we're doing or not. And it's like, now you're out at a place where you would generally have fun, your place you want to be. They come or they don't. If they don't come, you're going to, they kind of lose you to the other wolves out in the wild, so to speak. Yep. But but you're proving that advice, because what you're saying is so right. Like, you're like, they got the pancakes I want, they got the TVs, they got the music, they got the vibe. I'll be there. Join me or not. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what about, because this has happened to me before, you're too busy, girl. So I always tell my girlfriends, don't give the script. When a guy's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? There are girls who are like, oh my God, I have to go get my nails done. And it's like, this is too busy for me. You know what I mean? Right. And that's also like, so there's like the pendulum swings, right? Well, so like you also can't be that person to like, less is more. If you are available or you want to see a guy, I always say, hey, I have plans with a friend, but it's super loose plans. What are you up to? Because I do think that a guy should, because it's like, listen, if you don't want to make a plan, I will do other things. We're dating, we just met. I do want to see you, obviously, because I like you. But, and when you get to your age, or when you get to an age where you're ready for marriage or whatever, if you ditch your friends for a girl that's like hot and you want to go hang out with, your friends are not going to give you shit about that.
No,
they're like, no, go ahead. Right? Right?
I agree with you. I think it's more, the too busy girl to me is a different scenario. I call that the Aunt Betty. Aunt Betty is so into their nieces and nephews that they're never in the city and they're always on niece and nephew patrol. And there's a point where it's like, okay, it's enough. Your sister-in-law hates you. Get the fuck out of their house. And they're doing it because, and I've done this. I only know this because I am this. I'll go home because going home avoids my own life. Going home and being in your family's house and going and being at your sister-in-law and your brother, or your brother-in-law and your sister, that counts as going to fake land. You're going and playing house in their house because you can go there, and while you're there, you don't have to go on a date. And I meet these women all the time. And I'm not saying it's specific to women because I do it too, where I'll go home and I'm like, sorry, I'm at home, can't hang out, and it ain't my fault. I guess you'll have to catch me between the hours of 10 and 2. Like, they make it very difficult to hang with them
and you can't be mad at you.
Right.
Like, if I'm dating you and you're like, no, I'm with my parents or I'm with my niece and nephews, I can't be mad at that.
It's the ultimate excuse. Right. Because you are Mother Teresa. You hang out with the nephews. Oh my God, you must be a good mother. I meet these people all the time where it's like they're always at the nieces and nephews, and it's like, and you want to go, they're not your fucking kids, okay? Like, enough with this shit. Like, and you see this. Have your own? Right. Don't you ever have fun? Like, if I date you, am I just caught in this trip to Long Island perpetually for the rest of my life? Like, get out of here. Like, it is, and this is the too busy. I know what you're talking. Like, the too busy. I don't think when I hear someone's like, I got dinner tonight and then I'm going out with friends, I don't think of that person as too busy. I think of that person as fun. When I hear like, I'm going to Long Island because I have to clean the carpets at my friend's place because I do everything for everyone. It's like, are you doing this for your friends because you're avoiding your own life and you're avoiding failure and you're avoiding like hanging out and not really being, like you want to be an adult and that's a place of life that you'd rather be. So you're kind of like faking it there. I don't know. I've been in this game almost too long. Like I've seen this. I know exactly. There's so many times when you meet these people and you're like, this is another version of someone I've met before. Before we get going, I love the smell of pumpkin spice in the fall, but BO, not so much. Smell good under that puffy vest this year with Lumi. Their whole body deodorant is a game changer. Created by an OBGYN. I love Lumi because they have flavors, and I call them flavors. They have toasted coconut, lavender sage, fresh alpine. These are the best smelling deodorants I've ever smelled. The toasted coconut, like you want to take it and bite into it. It smells delicious. I say that all the time. New customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. Use code FEATHER15 at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code FEATHER15 at LumiDeodorant.com. We are also sponsored by Indochino. I love Indochino because it's made to measure suits. You can get clothes fit to your body. I don't care what brand you shop. Nothing is better than made for your exact measurements. Everything it's going to hug your curves at the place you need it curved. So listen, people, Indochino this fall, update your wardrobe. And for the man in your life, suits. This is suit season. They need a new suit. The one that from before doesn't fit them. This is going to fit them. This fall, update your wardrobe to quintessential suiting elements with contemporary flair from Indochino. Visit Indochino.com. Use code JTRAIN to get 10% off any purchase of $3.99 or more. That's 10% off at INDOCHINO.com. Promo code JTRAIN. We're here with Natasha Parker. Hidden gems. Okay.
Hidden gems.
Now, empowerment. When you say I want to have the podcast is an empowerment podcast in pursuit of balance. Mm-hmm. Okay. When you're looking to empower people, what is the goal? Like, how many times can someone say believe in yourself? Like, what is, is there because me, empowerment, I roll. I go, who am I to empower anyone? Like, I kind of do my thing and I go back and forth between feeling good about how I'm doing it and feeling horrible, like I'm doing everything wrong. And I think that's most people. And I think that's kind of life. It's a ebb and flow. How do you what was the goal with the podcast?
So the goal is holding space for hour and 15, whatever you want to call it. I think that you do empower people, actually, because you talk so openly. And we talked about this a little bit on the podcast when you came on. You talk so openly about being a man, dating, and what so many guys are afraid to almost say. You say it. I listened to your podcast that you did with Logan Yuri, and you were talking about like the girl kissing, like the date where like she didn't want to kiss. There are so many guys that feel the way that you feel, but so afraid to say that. And just the fact that you can be open in that way, like this is a safe space. And that's what I wanted to do with my podcast. Let
Mm-hmm.
people know that every single person. So the whole reason why I started is because the suicide rate for young people is so high, higher than ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like social media and being a part of growing up and seeing people see your life, people see my life, they're like, oh, this is Carrie Bradshaw. She has this figured out. She has that figured out. Da, 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 blah, blah, blah. But my very first episode is all about my career journey and how I got to doing this podcast or whatever, because I lived in LA. I worked as a PA. I made $2,800 or $28,000 in 1 year. And that was my life when I got out of college. You know what I mean? But I loved it. I loved working in TV. I loved working at Paramount. I loved doing all those things. But to get to there's so much hard work that specifically, I think a lot of millennials that are successful or that find themselves in a successful place, they had to go through and they had to put themselves through, that people now just see this highlight reel and people don't understand it and they're comparing themselves. There's this constant comparison. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I wanted to have an empowerment podcast, because I want to empower people to understand that whatever you're going through, it's just a moment, whether it's high, whether it's low, whether it's everywhere in between. And the most successful people that I met, and the other side of it was living in New York City. I have so many successful friends, so many friends that own businesses and this and that and whatever. They also get stuck, but they don't stay stuck for long. They realize, okay, this isn't working. Now, what can I do? Also, having their hand in multiple pots. Like, okay, I'm doing this, but I'm also doing this, and I'm also doing this. So we talk about a person's journey for the most part, and sometimes there's themes. Like we talked about dating a lot, right? And I know that, like my friend, she listens to my podcast every week and she always gives me notes and tells me things. And she was like, I really loved your episode, Jared, because just hearing that male perspective about these types of things makes me feel like I'm not crazy dating, and I want to empower her to keep dating because you're not crazy. It's just the person that you met that didn't fucking work out, but get back out there when you're ready. You know what I mean?
You bring up such a interesting point that I've been thinking about a lot. Like you and I were in the same generation. We're both millennials. And I've been thinking about this a lot, that and I've said this a few times recently, just noticing that everyone thinks their generation's special, that nothing has ever happened to any other generation but their generation. And I'm not sure if it's just us or if this will continue forever, but it does feel like our age group is the transition from analog to digital. And it's like this transition, like we're the last generation that has memories of pre-internet, pre-phone. So we do need these podcasts that kind of tell you like, hey, you're looking at someone's life through a keyhole. Remember, because our brains weren't brought up knowing that Instagram's a highlight reel or that Snapchat is not real communication, or it's easy to send 30 texts to 30 women saying good morning. And that was the reason I started with the dating talk. I used to always say, people would be like, what do you talk? Why do you have an opinion on dating? Or why should anyone listen to you? People get really weird when you talk about dating. And I would always say, listen, I'm not an expert, and I am not an expert. Look, I'm sitting here in my shoebox apartment, single at 39, talking about, women who go home to take care of their nieces and nephews because I've dated that woman 700 times. Yeah. But I always said, I was like, your parents can't really tell you what it feels like to get a DM. I can. I can say why I sent the DM. My dad doesn't know what does it mean? What does it mean? Someone sends you a fire emoji, and it's like, so I wonder, like, look at you, got the heebie-jeebies, like. Don't worry, my dad's
emoji. Look, I just got a fire emoji.
Did you?
Yep.
I want to ask you. Hold on that. I want to ask you about that. So I don't know. I just think like, because I was talking, like, I wanted to do a bit about how when I call my mom, I call her from my headphones, and then so there's this weird gap. I put it out on TikTok, but it was like there's this weird gap from when the conversation ends to when she hangs up, so I can hear her like review the conversation. I can literally hear her, like, I'll be like, bye, love you, and then she'll go, he sounds so alone. Like I'll see her, like I'll hear her yell off to my dad and then hang up.
Before she hangs up,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Right.
and I'm like, that's such a weird moment in time. Like,
Yeah.
10 years from now, the guy my age who talks to his mom on the phone, she'll know how to use the phone. She'll know, his headphones will cut out at a better time because the technology will be better. We're always in between. We're in between on everything. We're in between on all this shit. Like, and it used to be your family, your parents worked at one company their whole lives and then retired and had a pension. Just like you said, you have successful friends that like the amount we have to pivot and change. Like, listen, even my social media strategy, I used to like post pictures of tweets, and that used to get major followers and get people to come to Freid Island to see, to like, to enjoy everything else I do. That was always my goal. I want to make sure when I do stuff on the internet, it's to make people come over to Jared Island and enjoy all the things I put together here and come to a show. And then I do these like holiday tweets. I would say Merry Christmas to the person who blank, blank, blank. And it was all jokes. And I'd post 10 of them, like the highlights of the 10 Merry Christmases, Happy Holidays.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like a year ago, I noticed I started losing followers. This was something that I would gain like thousands of followers every holiday. I'd be like, I have to do it. It's my job. And then I was doing it and I got to a holiday where I'm like, wait a minute, I went down in followers? Like, how the fuck did that happen? This is something that was so successful a year ago. And it's like, to me, it used to be someone worked at the greeting card factory for 50 years. And I got a year of greeting cards. Like, it's just, and it's like, we have to be easier on ourselves. Like, you have to give yourself like, you have to be easy and not angry at yourself. Like I sat there for like a week going, how did something so successful turn into such a negative thing? And like, and this is all while people are messaging me, where's the holiday tweets? Where's the holiday tweets? I'm like, it's over. We're done. Like I have to move on from it. It was hard.
Well, to your point, also, my podcast isn't for everyone. Maybe, some people don't want to be empowered. Some people don't want or don't feel like they need that type of empowerment. Some people feel like I wanted to do this podcast for people who are like, I'm in a stuck moment. I need to pivot. I need this. I need that. I want to feel better. Right? Some people feel good. Some people are like, I got it figured out. I paid my dues. I did my thing. I did this. I'm doing this now. Right? But in my personal opinion, I don't think any of us has it figured out. There's always some area of our life where we're having to pivot because if we're not growing, we're dying, right? We are houseplants, right? So like, that's where I think that if someone sees, and also I think just women and being a Black woman as well, it's like, we need people. When I look at these podcasts, these self-help podcasts and all these, a lot of these people don't look like me. And just because, and I also use myself as an example because I'm like, you can look at me and look at my Instagram, like, she got it all figured out.
Right.
Don't. I'm still single. I'm still, you know what I mean? I'm still always looking for new job opportunities and doing this and doing, you know what I mean? I don't have it all. I don't have it figured out at all, and I'm always seeking and looking and searching because that is what we're doing. That's what everyone's doing. They're just not letting you know it. Right.
Right.
So when I talk
and this
to
is
people,
a venue to let people know it, like
yeah. And so when I have my guests on, I want to talk to them about what their life is about and how they feel about their life and where they're going and or if they feel like what they've done to get there. Like you were talking about your comedy special. It's like these are things that you're doing to get to where you're going. Hey, this is what I'm doing now. In 10 years, you're going to be doing something completely different in that world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, you graciously, thank you so much, got us tickets to the Comedy Cellar. And Aziz Ansari was there and he said, I was here at 18 and now I'm 41. And like, he's testing material. And like he said, like to come back here is so nostalgic, but it's things like that where someone could look, a kid, a Gen Zer or whatever can look at him and be like, oh yeah, he's had this, he's had that. He has it all figured out. He did this. It's like, No. I was at the Comedy Cellar at 18. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, this is what I was doing. I was hustling back then to get to this point, right?
Right. Well, that's why stand up, like, especially, like, it's the most humbling thing. I heard someone, because when you put out material, it's gone. You can never
Mm-hmm.
have it back. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, Aziz, like, great example. This is a famous, successful guy. He comes back to the cellar and you know, he's there to like drum something up to get to like 2 minutes of material. If he walks away with 2 minutes from that set that he did for you guys, that's a
Yeah.
successful night. If he walks away with
Yeah.
30 seconds of new material, that's a successful night. And
Right.
it's funny, I heard someone say they're like, the more famous you are, the more time you get, but you never get forever. So like the more
Mm,
famous you get, like when you get on stage, the place goes nuts. I'm sure you went to the cellar, Aziz shows up, I'm
mhm.
sure the place goes absolutely wild.
Crazy.
And then you get like he gets 2 minutes where they're like, I'll laugh at anything this guy says because it's a famous person.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then he might get 3 minutes, he might get 4 minutes, depending on how excited the crowd is. But the time runs out. And at a certain
Mm,
point, he's just a guy, and when are we gonna fucking laugh?
mhm.
And that whole crowd is sitting there, and and then people walk away. Aziz came, it was so cool. He wasn't that funny. Like that's like because
Mhm.
then
Then
the
the critic.
review comes. Because
Yep.
it doesn't matter how famous you are, you gotta be funny. And if you're not funny, they're gonna go, what happened to that guy? He used to be so good. And it's just an interesting thing. It doesn't matter who you are, how successful. Your time runs out, and you got to have the goods. Like
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
I want to
That's
ask
so
you
true.
before we go. Who sent you
Yes.
the fire emoji? Explain
I
them in generalities. I want to
Okay.
know. Yeah, you don't have to give. I'm not asking for
Okay.
names. I
Okay.
want to know because I think this
John
is.
Doe. No.
Have you gone on a
John
date with
Doe.
them? What's the situation? I love hearing the background of who sends the DMs. So
Yeah.
let's play a
So
game.
this is
The
a reoccurrence.
Yeah, okay, always. So you've gone out before?
Hmm. Hmm.
How many times have you gone out?
3 times.
Drinks or like actual dates or meetups?
Dinner, drinks.
Dinner, drinks.
Hmm.
Okay. When
Hmm.
was the drink? So you dinner? How did you meet before the dinners?
And IRL, through mutual friends.
IRL.
Hmm.
Wait, you said 3 weeks ago? I missed that.
No,
When
through
did
friends, through friends,
through
through friends, through
friends?
friends. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you meet through friends. You exchange numbers at a bar,
yeah. No, we were at an event. We were at an event. Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah. We were at an event. Hmm.
And you exchange numbers. Hey, we
Uh-huh.
should go out. And where's the first dinner?
No, we did not exchange numbers. We met IRL, then the
The
follow you on
DM.
Instagram. Yeah, follow on Instagram
Yes.
type of thing.
Okay,
Then
I
it's
love
like the
this.
follow, the follow, the follow. You're following them, they're watching your story, or you see them watching your story, hearting stories, da 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 blah blah. Then it's like, hey, also this person doesn't live here, but
This person what?
does not live here. Lives in
Okay.
Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
So says, hey, I'm gonna be in town. I'd love to take you out to dinner. Great.
Where do we go?
Um,
I like to hear dates, but you're
because
blushing.
because well, Golden Swan.
Golden Swan. Ooh, this is a high end date. This is
Well, I
we
the thing is
are Carrie
I blinked.
Bradshaw. That is
I
the
blinked.
old. I live down the street from the Golden Swan. Okay, I
Well,
haven't been.
I'd never been before, and that's why I blinked on the name because I was like, wait, Swan. I'm like, what was the name of that place? I'd never been. That was the first time I ever went. Um,
It,
and
it, it
yeah,
used to be. What was the space it used to be? It was a famous bar.
I don't know.
Oh no, it was a famous bar.
And it's so funny because also I went on another. I ended
Spotted
up going
Pig.
on Spotted Pig. Yeah, so I've never
You
been there.
No, it
Well, so
used to be
okay,
where the Spotted Pig was, and now it's been redone as the Golden Swan. And if you're Googling right now as you listen to this podcast, it's a beauty. It is like,
it's
I mean,
beautiful.
this is a red carpet first date, Natasha.
Yeah,
This person
yeah.
went for
Well,
it.
hmm,
What? You don't?
well,
Okay, so what happened? You go on the dinner
Well,
date.
what I'm saying is that there are you like so women can't get too caught up in the red carpet
I'm not
because
saying you should. I'm saying this
yes,
facts are
but
facts, though.
some people, now tell me what you think about this. Some people, this is just their life. Like they're going to the Golden Swan for a business dinner. They're going
Right.
for whatever, da da da, blah blah blah. Like they're going just to go no matter what. It's not like let me impress this girl and take her here. Sometimes it's just like this is my spot and I'm going here,
I
right?
hear
And
you. I
but what?
hear you. I'm sorry to interrupt because I think you're
No,
bringing
no,
up a
I'm
very good point.
uh-huh.
Because what you're saying to me, this is when men get the privilege of naivete. Every woman assumes we have no emotional intelligence whatsoever, and we win for it because the
Uh-huh.
idea that like this is just my life. I go to the Golden Swan no matter what. Like I I hear that, and I'm sure this is a successful dude.
Yeah.
But this place is like, you know what you're saying to a woman. Like, you know what we dress ourselves in clothing knowing what we're. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think he's so whatever, blasé about it, is my point.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So
I
that
went
was
on
date one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I went on another date to a similar place that a guy took me, and this guy, he had a girlfriend. So
Mm,
so yeah,
sure.
I think that it was a very nice place, and I'm very glad. And that's why that's why I always tell women, let the guy pick. Don't tell them there's this new place down
Hmm.
here that I want to go to. Da, 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 da. No, let the guy pick because also you'll see if they want to impress you or not. It was lovely.
Right.
Right.
No,
Right.
they're telling you something. No matter
Yeah.
what, they're telling you something. Even when they don't tell you something, the come to me at the Golden Swan is a message sent. I am
Yeah.
successful. I want to take you out somewhere nice. I want to be
Yep.
dressed up.
Yep.
No schlub is going there. So okay, so second dinner date. Where did you guys go? Did he come back to town or did you go down there?
N- No, I didn't go down there. Almost did, but I did not.
Okay.
Um, yeah, no, I didn't. But the thing is though, like this is all cool, but this guy kind of sucks. Do you know what I mean?
Really? Well, because now you're
Yeah.
three dates in and now you're down to fire emojis. Like,
Well, yeah, it's like it's when you meet a guy and it's like cool and there's an idea, same thing with you where you're talking about your hood fishing, right?
mm-hmm,
It's like, oh yeah, I live here, but I'm always in New York, blah, 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 da, da, da. And
mm-hmm.
it's like, you just can tell, at least for me, how you're like, I know too much. I can sniff out when a guy is just trying to fuck. You know what I
Right.
mean? Super quick.
Right.
Or if he's actually looking for something serious,
Right.
especially when you meet a guy who's like, and listen, it's not about just wanting to hook up, right? Obviously, a guy's on a date with you, they think you're attractive, they want to hook up with you. That's like obvious. Like,
Sure.
so that's not, girls are like, oh my God, and he was saying, and it's like, girl, you're hot. He wants to hook up with you. Stop,
Sure.
right?
At a
But
baseline.
yes, but there are certain things that are in place. And also, like, when a guy sends heart eyes at you with your niece or nephew versus you out and taking a hot pic and then they send the fire emoji. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're like people also that live in this world of delusion that like this girl who is looking for something serious is going to be like, yeah, to the fire emoji. No, I'm replying to the heart eye guy. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well,
Like,
it is interesting because, like, based on what you told me, like, dinner, drinks, out of town, fire emoji. This is actually like a mathematical equation to me because it's like he's sitting there knowing what I know I have to do more. I know that I have, written a check. The check I've written is nice dinner, nice drinks. Where am I going to go from here? Because there's
mm-hmm,
only one place to go, and that's forward. Woody Allen famously said, relationships are like sharks. They either keep swimming or they die.
mm,
And that is the most true dating quote of all time. And it's a
mm-hmm,
genius thing because it's true. You guys where do you go from here? You either go
Yeah.
to being boyfriend, girlfriend, or just fucking. And
Exactly.
and
And that's what he's hoping, the latter.
well, that's the thing. It's like, how do I say that without being mean? Because that is mean at its core. Like, hey, I like you, but it could be taken mean. I think it takes a confident person to take it the positive way, which is, we're two great people and this isn't the time for us to be serious. But also I could see how it's like, what the fuck? I'm looking for more. You know what I mean?
But
like,
I think that also there's a misconception with men, how you were talking about the emotional intelligence. I think that men think that when a woman hears, I just want to hook up, that we instantly turn off. And I don't think that that's true.
I think you're totally right. I agree with you.
Women are looking for honesty.
Right.
So when a guy comes out and he's like pulling out the red carpet and he's doing all this, this guy really likes me. That's what we normally think. This guy really is looking to be serious with me. Do you know what I mean? Like when a guy's like, hey, what's up? Let's get, they're texting you at 12 a.m. Want to get a drink? You know what that vibe is. This guy's just trying to hook up, right? You want to go to a 6 p.m. dinner? You know what I mean? Oh, right. Okay. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with what you're saying. And I think it's important. Like, it's funny. There's a middle ground of the two. I like taking you out to nice places because that makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking to just be hooking up with someone I have no knowledge of. I do need some, I think men are pigs, but at the same time, like, it's a pig that wants to be cuddled and have head scratches. So it's like, so it's interesting. Like, it's like this middle ground that, like, because right now you and this guy are in a middle ground. Like, someone could say, why would he take me to dinner? Why doesn't he just go to a bar and fuck if that's what he's looking for? It's like, well, no, maybe he doesn't enjoy, interacting with people that way.
And maybe he doesn't know yet. You go on the date and you see what the vibe is, right? I do think also, though, if men are the sooner they're upfront with what they're looking for. And yes, you don't have to actually just say like, hey, I'm looking to fuck, Right. But doing things in a way that show a woman that is what you're down for, then a woman has a choice.
Right.
Maybe I just want to hook up too. Right. Maybe this isn't a serious thing. Maybe a girl is so into you in a way, and I've seen this happen. So this has happened to me even. There's a guy who when I first met him, I was like, oh my God, bae, love him. Woo, 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 woo. We were talking, chit-chatting, we went on this date. Oh my God, love him. And then he never asked me out on another date. Mm-hmm. Every time I saw him, he either came, he was like, oh, I'm in the area, like, why don't I come by? Okay, great. I like him. I want to see him. He comes by, we hang out, whatever. I go to his house, we hang out. And it was just like, he works a lot. He's always traveling. And it's very much like, I don't feel like, oh, this guy doesn't want to date me. I just don't think this guy wants to date at all because his priorities are work, traveling, his family, and then dating. And I know for me, I don't want to be fourth on anyone's list.
Right. Right.
So I have a choice to make. Do I want to hang out with this guy when I'm bored or when it makes sense for me? And go to his house or invite him over to mine and just have like cuddles and Netflix and chill, or not. The truth is that I like him enough. I like our conversation enough that that's enough for me with him. I don't need more than that with him. And that's what we do. But the way that it was presented, it wasn't like this whole grandiose thing. Okay, yeah, now, so when are we going to hook up? Like, we went on 3 dates. No, we should fuck, right? Like, all these really bullshit, Yeah. No, it was just kind of like, listen, like, this is my life. This is where I am. And I love hanging out with you. But, like, yeah, bitch, you're fourth. You know what I mean?
Well, it is so funny. Like, the person you can say that to is, like, the person that you're probably getting along best with and you probably should date. Because, like, and the person you can't say that to, it's like, the person that's sending the fire emoji instead of being like, hey, let me like level with you. Like, right now we went on these great dates. I enjoy your company, but this isn't my priority. The person that can't do that, like, you probably shouldn't speak to ever again. Like, exactly. it's
that's why I said this guy's full of shit.
Yeah.
He's into fire emoji, but he's full of shit. You know what I mean?
And
in my opinion.
And well, then he also doesn't, and listen, I've been guilty of this, and this is a very male thing, I think, of like just not trusting a woman to be like, to kind of get that. And you said that before, like the idea that you can't be like, well, I see what this is. That's that I'm kind of with you. I think like there's a lack of trust for like sanity, which is
Yes.
like,
Yes.
and which is a bad thing. But I could talk to you all day, but I want to make sure you
Yeah.
get to Rocco's. And
I know. This is great.
this was so fantastic. I want everyone to go follow Natasha at Natasha Parker. The podcast is awesome. I am on. We'll put in the episode bio the link to my episode of your podcast and all the socials. Natasha, this is fantastic. Thank you so much.
So fun. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Of course. Well, enjoy your sister and enjoy Rocco's, and we'll be back next week. Boom.